Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got Barb Davis here, and she's a digital marketing coach, and she's going to talk to us all about SEO. And I think she would be a great addition for the audience interested in marketing their businesses through SEO. And I have some questions myself. And so, Barb, welcome.
Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to spread the joy about SEO.
Yeah, I know we connected. And what's interesting is you have a nomadic lifestyle, which I'm going to ask about later, but introduce yourself and what you do, how you got there. And I'm really excited to talk to you.
Sure. Barb Davids. I started my business in 2018. And I had been working for a corporate environment for quite some time and decided I needed to work anytime, anywhere, instead of spending my days inside of cramped offices and no windows. I now have windows. So it's kind of fun. And the idea was to be able to still make an income while like living in different cities and visiting family, visiting friends, because they're like all over the place, right? They're like in all the states. And at one point around that same time, I actually started doing fitness photography professionally. And I was trying to figure out how to market that specific business, because mostly when I was working in corporate, it wasn't around that topic. And I went to other networking groups and I was talking to other people, and other photographers were having trouble. And even I, being in the industry back in the day, it was like very confusing about, okay, what am I supposed to do for this business? Like, why can't I just find a single like straight answer? And while I was in corporate, like I was mostly managing and hiring out for this role, for example. And when I would ask things about, what are you doing? What's my money being spent on? Am I getting any return? What is going on? I would always get reports that were very vague. Oh, we're monitoring. I'm like, okay, that doesn't really tell me anything. So it was just very frustrating. And so all of that combined really started my business and being able to be transparent with business owners and helping them figure it out, because it is so confusing. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And if you try to Google it yourself, you're like, oh, I don't know. Does this really work for me? I can't tell. The aim is to be transparent and share really what's happening out there.
Yeah, I love that. And so we'll dive into it. So the other one thing is talking about is SEO. And before ChatGPT came on, I thought, because mainly you think about SEO, you think about blogs and websites. And much of the attention media consumption is now short form, vertical video, and now audio. So I thought SEO might be going, but now with ChatGPT. So talk about why in the era of AI and ChatGPT, SEO is so important.
So even with AI coming, we're still in the arena. It hasn't changed yet, that the information that it's gathering or that it's trying to present and people searching, there's still a plethora of people using Google to search for their things. Now, I can't say that's not changing, right? There's a lot of people that are using different, like TikTok or different socials, or even Perplexity, which is a whole different browser. So things may change over the years, but it's not going to be like today. Like Google has a super large market share still. So by not doing SEO, you are missing out on all of the traffic and all the searches that are still happening today and will be happening for X number of years, whatever that may be. But at the same time, no matter what you are doing, even when people are searching on your socials, like for example, if they're looking for a specific service or a product, it's likely they're going to want to see what you have more than just on social. They're going to want to look at your website and see if they can even trust and verify with you. I cannot even tell you how many times, I've only done it once off TikTok, but I knew not to buy something off TikTok and I did. And then I was thoroughly disgusted with it. So I'm really like sad about that. But had I actually done more to do the research, I think that would have been good to see if it was a good product to use, to check out their website and see what the reviews were. And you don't get a lot of that on the social side. So I think that's going to be changing too. But even with AI, so like right now, Google serves up search results, right? You go to the page. Sometimes there's some sponsorships up at the top. There's some maps sometimes, depending on the search query that you're putting in. And then there's all the list of organic down at the bottom, which is free advertising. Nowadays, the AI overviews, you'll sometimes see those. It's a box with information and then it'll have sources. But that information is still coming from existing websites. So if you're not optimizing your website or taking the necessary steps to get found in regular search, it's going to be hard, if not impossible, to show up in AI overviews in that type of search.
Yeah, really amazing. Yeah, because I use ChatGPT now for a lot of queries as well. And I know there's so many large language models. And what's interesting is because AI is based on models, which SEO is. Obviously, if AI is taking off, SEO is. And I know complex and very, we don't have time to talk about the nuances, but we talked about the importance of search for small business. What are common misconceptions about SEO, and what can small business owners, people listening to this podcast, what can they do right immediately after and see noticeable improvements, either Google business listing or others?
So I will say quick S, and I always joke with the quickest SEO wins because I joke that I need to walk around with a big disclaimer, that splat sign right over my head, because it all varies based off of what industry, the mood of Google, right? If they're going through algorithm changes, there's so many different things, but generally the quickest wins, I can give you those. So by default, when you create content on your website, it generates a page title and a page description. And if you are very specific about what that page title and description are, you have the opportunity to show up in Google on a certain page, hopefully on page 1. It's using some of that information. But really what's more important is when you show up on search results, that page title and that description is what shows. And so I relate it to a shopping window website, like a shopping window when you're walking down the street. Is somebody going to be compelled to click your page title and your description? Is there something in that shopping window that's so cool, that's like amazing, that you want to step into the store to see what they have? Do you have your page title in such a way that somebody's going to want to click it so that they want to step into your website to see what you have to offer? And so making sure that those are very optimized and that those are written in such a way that somebody wants to click, that's probably your quickest win. And the easiest way to do that and see is to be aware of what you currently have. So if you go to Google and type in SITE : and then your domain name, .com, .net, whatever it might be, you will get a list of all of the pages and how Google sees it. And so you can see if it has the right page title in the description. So you might see your contact page on there. You might see your privacy policy page, which technically you don't really want those to show on there. That's probably a whole nother discussion, but you can see, oh, okay, my homepage says homepage. Maybe I should change that. Maybe it should be like the service that I actually provide. So you can take a look and see how you want to change those and then just go to the website and change those. So that's probably your quickest win. Another quick win is to do blog posts and do them on a regular basis, at least once a month. There's still a lot of business owners, I think, and it's a difficult one, right, to sit and write blog posts. But if you think about the return that you get on it, you write it once and it's out there forever. You can just come back and change it or update it, refresh it like once a year, maybe once every 2 years. But that information is going to really help Google better understand the service and the products that you sell. Or it'll at least get in front of more people because people search not just the word that they're looking for, but sometimes they're in a research phase. So you want to get in and around the phrases that they're looking up and get in front of them, bring them to your website, and then try to get their email address with some lead magnets, which again, that's another story. But the idea is that we've probably all done it, right? We go to these websites and we're like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great checklist. Let me just give you my email address. So that's a lead magnet. And then you can get them into your atmosphere and then they can get to know you and see what kind of things that you have to offer. And the Google business listing, that's a free one. That's a great one for people to do as well. And you don't have to have a physical address. So when you go through it, you just go through the defaults and it says you have to put your address in there, but you can hide it from public view. And so that's a really great way to potentially show up more on Google search as well. Let's see what else. And then if you just post there, like once there's like a posting area. So it's like social a little bit. You can put a picture and then a few words and then post it up there every once in a while just to show Google you're there and to show people that you have an open business, and then optimize the description of your business in that listing. And that will help also potentially, I can't say I'll guarantee, but that will help your SEO.
Interesting.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
So what's it like to buy your first cryptocurrency on Kraken? Well, let's say I'm at a food truck I've never tried before. Am I gonna go all in on the loaded taco? No, sir. I'm keeping it simple, starting small. That's trading on Kraken. Pick from over 190 assets and start with the $10 in your pocket. Easy. Go to kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Yeah. People are very familiar with like the Google SEO and kind of the websites and also the blogging. Talk about YouTube SEO, because I know YouTube is, talk about why YouTube is so important. People think YouTube is the younger generation. They're like on TikTok, but describe why YouTube is so important and how SEO plays into how do you use it on YouTube.
So you can use it in conjunction with your website, right? You can embed YouTube onto your blog posts, and it's not that will necessarily, by the way, everything I say is also not a one and done thing. Any one thing that you do is not necessarily going to trigger first page results or for you to show on the first page. But all of these things combined do help to increase your popularity with Google, basically. So in terms of YouTube and having a video on your page, what that does is help your engagement. So when people land on your website, then people are more likely to stick around if there's a video, if there's value add to that. And then having the presence on YouTube is another channel that Google sees. So as a business, as a website owner, the more social links that I have, it just gives Google more context into like how people like me, like with my reviews, my services, and it links back. And so they see that as another like credibility factor, a trust factor. There's this whole thing with Google that talks about EAT. It's EEAT, expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And there's different things that Google thinks about to know whether or not it can trust your website. And frankly, like readers as well, like when they come to your website, can they trust your information? Factors. Not to mention, it's just another method of marketing, right? Like I really firmly believe in diversity of marketing efforts, because it used to be like you could go and just do a commercial and get in front of 1,000,000 people. Now you have to be on 1,000,000 different platforms. Do whatever feels right for you, but YouTube is another one because video is so captivating and there's just so many different things that you can use with it. Trying to get in front of the people, if your audience is there, quite frankly. Because if they're not there, then I wouldn't spend time on it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The next thing that I've been noticing is because they talked about audio, especially podcasting, especially people listening and searching for podcasts, it's really growing. And so if you have a podcast, it's a really great way to get in front of potential customers, even existing customers. One thing that's interesting is because you talked about YouTube SEO, and what about podcast SEO? Is there such a thing, or talk about that and how you can get your podcast ranking high, or Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman, these types of podcasts?
Yeah. So I have a podcast as well. So I can definitely say that it is like other channels. You still have to put the effort into it, the work into marketing it and doing all the things that you can. And podcast SEO is very similar to regular SEO. So you're trying to get in front of other people. So maybe you're going to write blog posts about it, or maybe you're going to put your podcast on social or snippets of it and have it be shared. But in terms of finding a particular, if you want your podcast to come up in Google or in some other channel, then you still have to do that channel's optimization efforts. So if you wanted to show up in Google, you would have to do a blog post. You would a blog post or a page, whatever, but it has the words that you want to be found for that particular episode. And when you talk about podcast SEO, if you're looking inside of the player, it's going to be the words that you're using. So it's going to be the description, it's going to be the show notes, it's going to be the title. And then because when people are searching, that's what it's going to be looking for. So I think with podcasts, it might be even just a little bit harder because those typically, the episodes themselves don't normally come up, or I haven't seen them come up a ton inside of search results, because what they're looking for are like episodes are like one-offs almost. It's not like a website where you're talking about one whole round topic, and a podcast is a bunch of topics inside one show. So I think for podcast SEO and getting found more that way, it's definitely more about distributing the snippets everywhere and getting people talking about your show. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I've noticed. I've noticed marketing a podcast to get it out. It's really people that really want to listen to you and your content, and it's almost like a community and like an email list. And it's like people that actually go to your podcast to listen. So it's either a blog post or social media is really helpful. YouTube is great as well. So the other question, follow-up question is, we used to, with SEO, I remember you had to they were like, do keyword research, and then you had to see what are the top ranking keywords, what are people searching for. Then you had to create content around those keywords. And it was like, almost like, it was really very tedious, to be honest. Talk about how SEO has improved with AI and ChatGPT and all of these new AI tools.
So there's a lot of tools that say that they are AI driven, or there's an SEO, there's tools that, or how do they say it? They're an AI tool that helps you do SEO. And I believe that they have the best intention, but they don't keep the business's specifics in mind, right? Like it can do keyword research and it can tell you how to maybe write the content, but is it going to know it from your specific angle and your experience and your expertise? And is it going to know to think of something new? I can guarantee you it's not going to think of something new yet. We just aren't there. So it's going to come up with stuff that's already out there. And it might be able to publish it for you, but is it going to do it in a way that's thoughtful? One of the things that kind of burns me is like when things are published automatically, it doesn't know to think, oh, maybe I should add an image here, or, oh, maybe I should have put an infographic here. It doesn't have the creativity quite yet to take that on and be different and be unique and stand out. Because if you just have the same thing all the time and you're doing what everybody else is doing, it doesn't really benefit the people that you're trying to serve, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great point, is when using these AI tools, you have to really step in and bird's eye view, because a lot of times the output is, that's not what I was asking, or that's not like that. That's not the particular slant that that would make this article or the content stand out. So you have to step in, but it's actually streamlined a lot of things. So it's good.
Yeah. There's some definite positives out of it. And unfortunately, I do feel like people do keyword research with it. And that's a bad thing to do, because it doesn't, at least the last time I checked, again, another disclaimer, I haven't checked for a couple weeks, but the last time I checked, it wasn't really that knowing of things like search volumes and stuff like that. So I guess it maybe depends on the tools that they have access to specifically. But quite frankly, any SEO tool is a hit and miss, because, for example, I've had a lot of keywords that come up in clients. There's a Google Search Console. It's a free tool that everybody can use to see what keywords people are typing into Google that get them to their website. So I can see what somebody's typing and where I show up on first page, second page, that kind of thing. And there are a lot of times where I'll see keywords that technically have no search volume whatsoever as far as the keyword tools are concerned, but I'm getting traffic on it and my clients. So it's not like it's 100% accurate either. So I always encourage people to write about topics that people are asking about. And while you do use keyword research, don't make it so much like rigid about that. Do make sure that you talk about like things that people are asking. And one way to do that too, if you're not quite sure, maybe you think you've exhausted all the questions that you know that your customer or your client is asking. You can go to tools and they do have those as well, just to spur some ideas or think of new things. Like .com is one. I'm trying to think of another one, but there's some ones out there. And even just on Google, if you type in your core service or your core phrase and you scroll down a little bit, there's a place called People Also Asked. And that's a great resource for figuring out what people are also asking. And if you click the first one, it's automatically going to expand more and you'll just get like a plethora of questions.
Yeah, really valuable. There was to conclude, talk about just like living life with intention. And you, like I said, you're very intentional about where you live and how you work, rounded out by talking about using business as a tool to improve your lifestyle and your overall well-being.
So last year was when I started nomading, and it was interesting because I had intended that with my business years before. And there's a quote, I think it's from Fabian Fredrickson. It says, when you have the clarity of intention, the universe conspires with you to make it happen. And that was definitely it. I think in business, sometimes we can get really stuck in the day-to-day, and we don't give ourselves time enough to think about what we intend to do or what we want to do. And I think there's a difference between wanting and intending, because wanting is coming from a source of lack, like we don't have it yet, and so we want it. But intending to do something, well, there is no want, there is no other question. It is going to happen. So I think intending more in our business, I think it has, for me anyway, has brought me more to where I wanted to go versus just thinking, oh, I want to do that, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm trying. Like if I intend, then it makes it more real and I can get to my goals. So
Yeah.
it's been an interesting process.
Yeah. The last guest was talking about allowing things, and when you see people pursuing something from a place of lack, they're less likely to manifest versus somebody just intending, as what you were talking about.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, absolutely. That is, and it's hard to see at first. I joke at myself because I still do. I like a lot of business and personal improvement, although I've been using the word enhancement instead of improvement lately. So I've been reading a lot of those books and I thought, man, I'm so tired of ingesting these, but really it does help. Like if you think about how to retrain your brain to think differently, it's about feeding in the good stuff, right? Feeding in the raw stuff, but in a way that resonates. So you find books that maybe make sense to you more so than some others.
yeah, I love that. Really great way to end the conversation. How can people find you and reach out to you if they're interested in enhancing their SEO or getting into SEO, learning about it, getting found more? How can they do that?
Yep. The easiest way is to visit compassdigitalstrategies.com. There's all kinds of information there.
Yeah, really great conversation, and thanks so much. And the audience, be sure to give Barb's website and socials a like and follow. And thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.